Welcome into the Legislative Lounge. We are your hosts, Natebige and Professor Mike. We want to welcome you guys into round 2 of the victory lap of the 2024 election. We do have some guest panelists from last time, our pre-election votes, as our pre-election panel, I should say, along with some new faces that will be joining us here shortly. But we're excited to dig into this, and we got some more information for you guys in regards to the Senate and the House. So we're going to be digging into that. But first up, we're going to invite one of our election eve panelists. He's the biggest mouth on TikTok. Everybody knows him. He's the king of being banned. Welcome to the stage, Older Millennial.
Hey, thank you guys so much for having me. It was a pleasure to talk about the election beforehand. Let me tell you, I've never been so happy to be wrong. Because I think I tried to end your guys' last live on a sour note where I was like, we're fucked, but we're all good now.
I actually have something there
Speaking of
for
you being wrong,
let's hear what you got to say.
Kamala Harris is going to win. I mean, here's the thing.
Uh-oh.
I hope I can just shit on me of how wrong I was.
Feel free to shit on me. Wait, by the way, I didn't even realize I am wearing the same shirt that I was wearing then. I would have totally changed my shirt. Like, I did laundry since then. I do want to point that out, that I have not been wearing the same shirt since then.
Sure.
But I just realized I'm wearing the same fucking shirt. And that's not
good. I
mean, the shirt I was wearing, the shirt I was wearing on election night was "You missed twice." That's what I was wearing. So I've done laundry. I do want to say that. But now I'm back in my studio. You guys had me in Texas that night, but now I'm back in my studio.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're just going to dive right in. So what is your raw reaction to what happened? Because obviously, as we just saw, you had a different philosophy of what was going to happen.
Yeah. So the whole idea behind what I was saying was that we either make it too big to rig or we're fucked, right? And look, Wisconsin's a perfect example of making it too big to rig. Right, because we can look at the race between 𝗪𝗪𝗓 and Tammy Baldwin, where on election night, like, think about this for a second. On election night, Eric 𝗪𝗪𝗓 had 1,628,000 votes. Now, here we are. How many days later? He has 1,600,000. He has 5,000 less votes. So in the amount of time that Tammy Baldwin gained 450,000 votes, he lost 5,000. And if you look at the election map, and so here's the beautiful thing. You look at the Senate totals. Now, do you have the actual presidential election map for that?
Not the chart like this. I don't know.
No, but so if you see that little bump right there, right? That line.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is in Wisconsin, in the presidential election, the exact same bump happened for Kamala Harris. The difference was the red line was already so far above it that it didn't reach the total. So Wisconsin is the perfect example of too big to rig, where they did rig it. They did have late night votes at 4:15 a.m. come in, but it wasn't enough to overtake Trump.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And Mike, I know you weren't here for our first round. So me and you, we predicted basically everything so far to a T. So what's your reaction to it?
Well, I mean, when you're right, you're right. And it was July 13th when I made my prediction.
Yeah, that is true.
I saw based on what I saw on the ground here in Arizona, what I've been talking to people who are in the swing states. I saw polling averages, and I said, Trump's going to get 312. Especially where he was going. Not only was he had his attempted assassination, that jostled people. He went to places where the Democrats don't go. He went to the hood in Detroit. He went to the Bronx. He went to Jersey. He's going to all these places that Democrats think they just have these footholds in, and he destroyed it.
Absolutely.
So,
I mean,
and
for me,
I couldn't
I
be
jumped on
happier.
that.
But I mean,
Right,
you guessed it perfectly. 312.
yeah. And I can attest, I was there when he said it, and I actually jumped on it too for different reasons than him. But I also then, what is it, like mid-September, I believe, is when I finally was like, this is what it's going to be. And then I also gave a prediction for the Senate and the House, which they actually outdid my Senate prediction by 1 seat thus far. Because I said 52, they're at 53, which will probably be the final because they're, rigging stuff in Arizona against
Oh,
Kerry
yeah.
Lake. That's so blatantly obvious. It's crazy. But then
Mhm.
also for the House, I said 222 was going to be the number. And we're literally right on pace with that.
Yep. And the House, I will say, I was sent a message about 2 minutes before I joined that says that we got Alaska, and we were at 2, and we hit 218.
Yes, that is actually something that I was looking at prior to coming up here as well. I know there's a couple of them that have confirmed it, but one of the more reliable sources is Decision Desk HQ. They're the most nonpartisan, in my opinion. They did also confirm it with a couple others. Still waiting on like the big ones like AP and all that, but they're all media bias in a way. So I tend to go this way. So that definitely. But if you look at the actual races that's currently still outstanding, they're all the ones that are red will put us at the 222. So right on pace for that.
Yep. And that works. Like, and here's the thing. Here's again, because I'm very good at putting dour notes on things. Is even with all that happening, Mitch McConnell is trying to engineer it so that we have somebody in place to stop the Trump agenda. And I'm sorry that I called it the Trump agenda. The agenda that America voted for.
Right.
Because that's
And
where
now
people get it twisted. This isn't what Trump wants to do. This is what America voted for.
And I don't know if you've seen this. Somebody sent it from X because I'm not on X, but I know you are. I don't know if you've seen this. However, I don't know how accurate this is, but supposedly this is the leaked list of individuals that are going to be voting, who they're voting for in this secret, which is no longer secret, meeting on Wednesday for the Senate leader, which you can see a large majority of them are going for Cornyn, which I'm from Texas. I promise you in 2026, he will not be in office.
No, and that's the thing, is that it is such a spit on the face of Americans. Like, and I made a video earlier where I said, here's the thing. Like, my content is all about Trump needs to be in office. We need his agenda. We need to do these things. And I told them, I said, if you want to see me switch from Trump's agenda to let's burn this motherfucker down, put Cornyn or Thune in there. Because those two they both have F grades when it comes to being conservative. They both oppose 6 out of 8 of Trump's policies, and they would be in charge of what comes to the floor to be voted on. So we could have the House, we could vote something. It has to happen. We dominate it. It comes to the Senate, and they can just not bring it to the floor.
Right. And so, nice thing is we also have another individual that's actually just gotten here. He's one of the more creative conservative content creators that I've ever come across. But he should be joining us here in a few moments. His name's Anthony Court. He was just in here, but I don't know where he went. So we'll
that
invite him
list you
to the
brought up,
stage
Nate.
now.
That list you brought up, Nate. If you looked on it, there's JD Vance on that list. So yep.
Yeah. But I'm going to invite Anthony up to the
it.
stage now.
Nice.
What's up, Anthony? How are you?
Oh, hey, guys. Sorry, I'm just dealing with some issues, obviously, since I don't know how to fucking work anything on here. What's up, everybody? How we doing? What are we talking about today?
Good. We were just talking about, giving our reaction to the actual election results at this point. So we're talking about the Senate, but we can backtrack just a second to get your reaction in regards to what you expected going into the election, and then what the final presidential election results were.
Right. I mean, I was uncertain because we all know what we experienced 4 years ago, right? So I didn't put it past them to try and do the same thing again. But I mean, I do think it was too big to rig this time. my main concern now is Trump's safety, obviously, and his family's safety. Let's hope they don't go to the extreme on that. I mean, but it's been attempted a couple of times already. So that being said, I think that I really wasn't sure. I think legitimately he was going to win regardless, but were they going to try to fix the vote this time? That was the question that I had going into it, right? But no, seeing the electoral numbers rise up for him was definitely a great thing to see, regardless of all that. So
Right.
Yeah, no. I my biggest thing is though, how did everybody vote for Trump over in Arizona, but they didn't vote for their senator, right? Like how is that even possible? Like things like that.
We were just showing the chart for the Senate race in Wisconsin, and we were going to show, but I didn't have it prepared. The same thing that happened in the presidential election is the fact that there was a huge spike at about 4:15 in the morning for Kamala Harris on both the presidential and the Senate race, but the numbers were so big for the president, it didn't affect anything. However, you saw it absolutely change the race when it come to the Senate, because obviously the Republican lost.
Hey, I just sent you over the presidential graph.
Okay.
I texted it to you.
Okay. Yeah, we'll take a look at that again.
But
it's the perfect example of too big to rig.
Right.
But as far as Arizona's concerned, like they're at 92.7% of the vote being in right now. I think Nate just said it was called on one site. It hasn't been called on EP yet. But Cochise and Yuma are still below 65% of their vote in.
Mm-hmm.
And the last time I checked, there's still just shy of 250,000 votes left. And she's only down like 50.
She's down 68,000.
68,000, okay.
Yeah,
So,
with 93% reporting.
There's no fucking way that much more people voted for that other senator. Like there's just no fucking way.
No, but and here's the thing, as much as we like Kari Lake, like we have to understand, like states have different judgments of the people that are going to represent them. So I don't want to, besmirch the people of Arizona, but it is hard to believe that a Senate candidate got more votes than Kamala Harris did in a state and lost the election.
Right. Like, for example, we were just talking about this. This is the Senate race for Wisconsin, right? We could see it. There were at 4:15-ish that time, there was a huge spike. And when we go over and we look at the presidential, you can see that there was also a very large spike at about the same exact time.
Yep.
But it was just too big for Trump for them to overcome.
Yeah, because you look at that's the presidential race where, again, I do want to make it clear to everyone, like what you see right there is statistically impossible. It's not like, oh, this is improbable, or like, oh, I didn't think this would happen. That is a statistical impossibility. Mm-hmm. It is statistically impossible that the votes input at the same time will be 100% in favor of a particular candidate. If I saw that for Trump, I'd be like, he rigged it. It doesn't matter who's running. It is a statistical impossibility for 100% of the votes input at one time to be for a particular candidate. It's impossible. Straight lines in statistical categories are impossible.
For sure. Absolutely. And I mean, so one of the biggest things there's a lot of demographics in regards to this election that have really weighed in that helped Trump. So was there any big surprises or some of the endorsements that we saw OM that you really were like, wow, they did actually come through?
Well, I loved that PA rebuked the idea of not choosing Shapiro, because I said that right off the jump. Not selecting Shapiro to be your VP was the biggest mistake the Democrats were going to make. Now, they still would have lost the election. right? I think that Pennsylvania definitely would have went blue with Shapiro on the ticket, 100%. But again, at the end of the day, what are we talking about? What's Pennsylvania? 19, 20 votes. So it wouldn't have changed the election, but it would have shown that the Democrats were willing to embrace other ideas. Because Shapiro is like, look, I'm from PA, right? My family still lives there. Shapiro is a great governor. He's awesome. He's really, really good. I think everybody likes him, whether you're conservative or Democrat, it doesn't matter. Everybody likes him. He's a good dude, right? But I think it showed that they were not willing to embrace other ideas. And that was one of the biggest problems. And I think that affected their races in Michigan. I think it affected their races in Wisconsin. And I really think it affected their race in North Carolina, because it showed that they weren't going to bend, that they weren't going to move on anything. And then you brought in that, like, think about the fact that Tim Walz didn't win his home county. Right. Like he didn't even win his home county. But they brought him in because it seems like Democrats are running a competition of who can have the dumbest fucking vice president, right? Like Obama, like Clinton got himself a fucking moron, and he got a moron Secretary of State, and then Biden got himself a knee bruised cocksucking pain in the ass as his VP. And then Kamala was like, I'm going to top that. I'm going to get the least manly motherfucker you've ever met in your life, and I'm going to make him my VP. And look, she wins. She got the worst VP. She wins.
Yeah, not just that. He has his own set of allegations on him.
Yeah, but those I'm going to say this about those allegations. The person that brought them was completely discredited and completely took it back. As much as Tim Walz creeps me the fuck out and I wouldn't let him around my kids, there is no evidence that he has inappropriately touched anyone. There's no evidence that he has raped or essayed any kids. Like, is he creepy as shit? Is he a terrible human being? Is he the worst, like, bitch ass sergeant major I've ever met who wasn't actually a sergeant major? Yes. But there's no evidence of that. And I take those accusations extremely seriously. Mm-hmm. And give me the tiniest bit of evidence against a Democrat, and I will talk mad shit. Yep. And so I want to give him credit on that. He's creepy. He's a bitch. He's a problem, but I have no evidence whatsoever. He's a P. Diddy follower.
Yeah. And can we just highlight the fact that the Democrats chose somebody that looked almost similar to Joe Biden?
No, but the Democrats chose somebody that looked like they could identify with the Down syndrome community. Like, this motherfucker's got problems. Like he literally, like, he is the weakest of all the governors they could have selected. Like, think about the Democrat governors throughout the United States.
This is why we bring older millennial on.
You're fine, but like, think about the Democrat governors throughout the United States. Like, there are some really strong governors, some people that pull weight and have opinions. Did any of you know who Tim Walz was before he was selected?
Absolutely.
No. I did because of
minimally because of what happened in the pandemic. Yeah.
Wait, Nate, are you in Wisconsin?
No, I'm not. I'm in Texas.
Oh, you said okay.
I knew about him just because of abortion legislation and Title IX related legislation.
See, I use condoms, so I don't know about that.
Yeah.
But
none of those random folks get calling you daddy, right?
Yeah, the only people that are calling me daddy are women.
Harry sister.
Well, no, they don't call me daddy. They call me father.
Yeah.
So you'll like this next part.
But I mean, that's the worst part is, like, when you look at it, if she had chose Josh Shapiro, I think it would have been a big turning point for her. Mm-hmm. Do I think it would have won her the election? No. But I definitely think it would have made this a very, very close race.
Well, I think Nate's going to bring up this next point, and what you're going to see is every state that she won has no voter ID.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's the best case for voter ID throughout the United States. But here's what I worry. Here's what worries me, because I voted for Trump based on the idea he follows the Constitution. Right. That's a big thing for me. I'm a constitutionalist more than I'm a conservative, more than I'm a Republican. I'm a registered independent, but I'm a constitutionalist. So I do not want to see, as much as I want voter ID in every single state in this country, I do not want to see a federal mandate for it because you don't have the right to do that. No, but the federal government doesn't have a right.
I understand.
Yeah, it's going to be done on a state-by-state basis.
But essentially, we're going to have a federal mandate for domestic travel come May 2025.
What do you mean by that?
The real
so
ID.
as of as of May 20th of 2025, they are requiring that everybody have a real ID in order to travel through TSA.
I'm glad I got those warrants taken care of.
That's going to be clipped.
No, but it's, in all honesty, like, that's where liberals help me out. Like, they don't recognize, they made a bunch of videos saying I had a warrant for my arrest. And I was like, no, I don't. And then I called my lawyer and he was like, yeah, you do. And I was like, oh shit. So I had to go pay a bunch of, it cost me about, I'll be honest with you, over about a 10-day period, it cost me about $12,000. And I had to do a ton of shit. I had to go submit myself. I had to go pay a bail. And thank you, liberals, for hooking me up, because like, I could have been arrested at any time. Like, I plan on traveling internationally. And if I had tried that with a warrant, I'd have been arrested at customs. I would have wasted thousands of dollars on international flights and been arrested when I went to go through customs. So thank you, liberals. Now, sending the SWAT team to my house at 4 a.m., I don't thank you for that.
Right. Now, I know that you were just talking about we were just talking about demographics and specifically women. Their whole shtick on the Democrat side is, even the day of the election was like, oh, there's a massive turnout of women this, women that, and they're coming out for Kamala Harris, when in reality that really didn't happen. However, the funny thing is it's just ironic that if it weren't for men, this election could have looked entirely different.
Well, it just goes to show you, if you need something done, don't ask women to do it.
This is a map of the United States of the Electoral College would have been if it was only women. So, I mean, massively different that the men stood, we woke up on election day and went to the polls.
Mm-hmm. But the benefit is that if you make that men, if you have the map for men, there's not a blue state in the country.
Right. No, yeah, I don't have that one, because that's just
This is that what the hell is that thing going around? This is that Aquafina or whatever it's called. That blue bracelet, Britney Spears shaven head thing going around.
Oh my God. I got to show you guys. this. So I can infiltrate the forward B movement. You know why? Let me show you. So I got a shitty tattoo when I was younger, but you see, let me see, turn it this way. See the heart?
Haven't we all?
Oh, I'm so backwards here. See the heart?
Yeah, I gotcha. It's blue.
So I can infiltrate the 4B movement. I can get in there. They can think I'm one of them.
Yeah,
maybe like they ain't gonna know your face.
Yeah.
No, hold on, but I'll identify as a woman. I'll identify as a woman.
It's possible. They can't recognize Matt Walsh at their own convention. But,
I remember when bearded women were put in the circus, but now it's like we got to accept them.
Right.
True.
And so, like, one of the bigger
things, get their own bathroom, right?
Yes.
Yeah, for real. Like where they can like. Here's the thing: I've never understood the idea of that, because it's like, isn't women's bathrooms all private? Isn't it all private stalls?
That I don't know.
Like, I imagine they don't have a urinal where a woman squats in the middle of the floor.
In Asia they do. In Asia they have
those. In the Middle East they do too.
So, like, digging still into that though, like in regards to the numbers, like there was some massive shifts in almost every single state. Like California, this is a side-by-side of 2020 versus 2024. I mean, we can go through the actual numbers. Looking at California, there was a 12% shift to the right in California, which resulted in numerous new counties going for the Republican side, including Trump himself. I mean, we could look at places like Illinois. Illinois was 9%. Here's a shift for Pennsylvania, for specifically the one where you see Philadelphia. The red right above that in the one on the bottom, that is Bucks County. the first
Yep.
time that Bucks counties went red since 1988.
Well, the thing to think about is that, like, there's always that joke that there are no blue states, there are blue cities. And it's 100% true, because if you go back to that map of California, like, can you bring that back? Okay, so you're here at the map of California. Here's the thing to think about. So we did it, me and a couple of buddies did a deep dive into this earlier on yesterday. And here's the best part. If you actually deep dive into those blue districts you're seeing right there, they are massively red, except for a small, tiny district that is a city. Like, so that map doesn't even do it justice, because that map looks like a good chunk is blue, but though the vast majority of every district you see there, like the one where San Francisco is, completely surrounding San Francisco, like if it was like a World War II map, and you were like, these are where the opposing forces are, and these are where the allies are, right? It would be completely red by a tiny dot of blue, and it would turn the entire district. And that's the crazy thing about California. California, land-wise, is 99% red.
Right.
And then everybody who cares more about woke shit and their free shit from the government than actually what the American principles should be are located in that little nugget.
Anthony, you were saying something?
Yeah, no, he's completely correct, because I still live in the People's Republic of California, unfortunately. But surrounding Sacramento, the capital, it's completely red. Like all it's like completely rural Republican land, like completely surrounding the capital. And then that little bit of Sacramento makes it blue, and he's completely correct. And believe it or not, I've been wearing my MAGA hat for the last few weeks building up to the election, and I probably only got a couple of eye rolls. I got nothing but compliments and support. So there's a lot more support for Republican candidates here. I'm actually surprised Steve Garvey lost, right? I can't believe he lost against Adam Schiff. But the fact that there was so much more support for Trump, like historically, than a very long time, it speaks leaps and bounds, right? And it makes you wonder if all those people didn't leave, and if people weren't disheartened thinking their vote doesn't count just because they think, oh, well, it's going to be blue no matter what. I mean, it could be turned around. People laugh at me when I fucking say that. Like my brother laughs at me, but I'm like, no. If people like you,
or all the illegal aliens, it'll turn red.
Yeah, yeah. No, voter ID. You guys brought up a big thing about that. We all know how Gavin Newsom feels about that, making it illegal to ask for ID. Right. That's the kind of reaction they get. I mean, to me, that's like treason, in my opinion. That's the way I look at it. But
right. And another, like, we can continue this trend. I mean, even into New York. New York itself, altogether went 11 points to the right. But the thing about it is, you look at these massively blue areas, like the New York, Manhattan, Bronx area, where Trump is having massive rallies. You can see ginormous shifts. And I mean, they wanted to gaslight America to believe that, Trump isn't getting that much support in these areas, especially the Bronx, 22% almost. And it was evident by the massive rallies that he had.
And we were talking about this a little earlier, Nate, you and I. States should have to conform to an electoral type college style of voting, because if that were to happen, there would never be another blue state.
But that's not how we laid it out. Like, here's the thing. Like, as a student of history, like, people confuse this all the time. Like, they look at it and think that we are united people here. We're not. There's a reason why we have the name United States of America, right? Because we never designed this country that each person has a voice in the country, right? We never designed it so each person has a voice in the country. Now, you have a voice in your state, right? You have a very democratic, straight democracy in your state. And that was a beautiful thing, because we didn't take it just and leave it at the state. We said, no, you have a straight democracy in your district, in your county. And then that's where the straight democracy happens. And after that, it becomes a grouping of the majority of the state. And you're right. If we did it that way, we'd never lose another election. But we'd be going against the will of the founders. We'd be going against the design that they put forth. And as much as I'd love to have nothing but Republicans elected, I need consequences to them not doing what they said.
Well, so when I look at it, right, we look at Article 4, Section 4. Constitution will guarantee to every state in a union a Republican form of government. So I really want to harp on that, because the reason we have the Electoral College is so that every state voice is equal. And I believe we should use that type of thinking towards the county level. Every county voice is equal to its neighboring county.
But see, the whole design of it is that your community has a voice, right? So you're voicing for your community. You're not voicing for the community next to you. Because if we do it the way you're talking about, what happens is, say I have a community of 10,000, you have a community of 5,000, right? And you're right next to me. Right now, my community of 10,000, I only need half the people to support me to make you non-existent, right? And the reason why that doesn't work is it takes the voice away from each community. It takes the voice away from each area, because what it does is it says, hey, you over there in your community, you are raising a voice to what you as a whole want. I'm raising a voice as to what we as a whole want. But what I'm not saying is, hey, just because I got more people, fuck you. And that's where it gets dangerous, because then, like, then you're getting into that majority rule, because then you're telling states like Kansas, let's say, you're saying, hey, fuck all that agriculture, fuck growing food for America, forget exporting shit, we don't need it, stack it with people so you have a bigger voice. And we don't want to do that.
Well, we're already at that majority vote state by state, right? We have, if we just look at Cali, the reason that they're incredibly blue is because of population density areas like Los Angeles and San Francisco. And if the neighboring counties were to have an equal voice, I think it would be more fair on a statewide issue.
Oh, it would be more fair on a statewide issue. But if you're only talking a statewide issue, but we're talking a national issue. So, and the difference is that
that's what I mean. Like when you have the fairness at the state level, then there will be fairness at the national level. It'll transition to.
I don't think it always translates.
Can I cut on this just for a second?
Go ahead.
If everybody just wasn't a bunch of pansies and fucking defeatists, we wouldn't need to be having this conversation right now, right? There's so many people that are told, oh, your vote doesn't matter because it just goes to the blue. Like I was saying earlier, like if people weren't just a bunch of pussies, excuse my language, we could talk a little bit crazier on here, right? God, I love that. That's awesome. I'm so used to TikTok and dancing around all the bullshit. But now, if they weren't a bunch of pussies and defeatists, they just need to drop this defeatist mentality, in my opinion. And then we wouldn't even have this discussion right now. What do you guys think?
Right.
No,
Donald Trump and the Republicans in itself took an entirely new approach to this election, which I absolutely love, is that they cornered the market basically of the everyday person and not went to these mega towns like, New York, Charlotte, and all these other places. They went to the podunk towns and talked to them. It's basically the Republicans took an approach of building a foundational voter base and getting out to the people that actually get them into play. And that is definitely one thing here in the state of Texas that I can see. Lower part of Texas, it is predominantly Hispanic, so that's a whole nother aspect to this. But those are small towns, very small towns, where they really focused in on places like that. But then also on a massive scale, they looked at places like Miami-Dade. These are traditionally blue as blue can be, forever blue. I can't remember the last time I've ever heard of Miami-Dade or the lower part of Texas being red. But they all went red this year because they approached the situation that they had was trying to build a foundation of the everyday worker, not focusing on the identity politics like the left does. And that spoke to my people, the Hispanics and Native Americans. I mean, when you look at the shifts that Donald Trump had in regards to the identity politics portion of the actual election itself, we can see here that in regards to ethnicity, Donald Trump had a huge increase, not only in the black community, it doubled. So he went from 8 to 16%. And with the Latinos, he went from 39 to 42%. So he made large strides in those areas. Like, for instance, I'm Native American. 64% of all registered Native Americans that voted in the election, 64 of them voted for Donald Trump. So, like, we can play, they're starting to play their game, but at the same time creating that foundation of saying, hey, I don't care what you look like. This is what I want to give you. And that really resonated with a lot of people.
I think
I got to be honest. I think. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mike. It's my bad.
There's also another aspect that he actually took advice from his son Barron, and that was the reason he went on all these podcasts like Andrew Schultz, Joe Rogan, Theo Vaughn. Those are great episodes, and it really showed you the character behind Donald Trump, how he's just like a loving grandfather, a loving father, and it was highlighted in multiple episodes how he doesn't boast about his accomplishments.
Well, he reached out to a lot of bros. Sorry, Mike, I didn't interrupt you.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say exactly. He reached out to a lot of the college bros, right? A lot of the people that could relate to him more. Like he didn't have to spend almost $1 billion to do it. They just brought him on there. He was very clever. It's funny that they basically all the backers of Donald Trump, like look at this panel. All of us were a grassroots movement. That we're an element of the free market defeating the socialist mentality of Kamala Harris paying influencers like Harry Sisson or whatever, right? So I mean, it's just it's proof that the free market beat him in this case. And but yeah, no, they totally utilized like the strategy there, like him listening to his son. He said, "Wait, as Aaron, you said."
Barron.
Yeah, Barron, and like you got to think about it, like his interview with Aiden Ross. His interview with Aiden Ross was completely set up by by Barron, and his friend Bo Loudon set the whole thing up.
That's a new aspect.
That kid is going to go places. Like,
yeah, to the NBA. He's fucking like 6'9" forever.
6'9".
But he's incredibly intelligent.
Look, let me tell you right now that the day Barron Trump dunks on Bronny, greatest moment in sports history.
I think that kid's going places politically. I don't think he's going to be able to stay out of it.
Yeah, no, he's definitely not. I mean, you're kind of stuck. But here's the thing, like, it's got to be a hard decision for a kid like Barron. Because let's be real, we have to remember who Trump was before he ran for office. He's a billionaire. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm planning on running for office. Either I'm going to run for one of the left behind positions because I think Matt Gaetz and Byron Donalds and Rick Scott, like, they're all leaving. They're going to go work in the administration, right? And I'm working with the Republican Party to get their endorsement to backfill one of those offices. And if none of that happens, in 2026, I'll run against Kathy Castor, who's in the district next to mine. She's the only Democrat in our area, and I'll run against her. But for Barron, it's a whole different thing. Like, he's a billionaire's kid who could just thug life it and just go be a billionaire's kid. Go fuck models in Ibiza. And go party, right? Like, open a business because his daddy's going to hook him up and support his ideas. Or he could trade that to be like his father and get shot at and get hated and get media that talk shit about you and get podcasts that hate you and get people that want you dead. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I am down for getting into politics because I grew up broke. Let me grow up rich. Politics can suck my ass at that point.
So, I do find it interesting. I don't know if Anthony is going to run, but there's at least 3 of us in here that have some type of political aspirations. I know I'm flirting with the idea of going after, what is his name? The Secretary of State here in Arizona, because Adrian Fontes, he sucks. He absolutely sucks. And I could tell you, I'm going to take on the approach of like the new borders are. I don't know if you guys have seen clips from him.
Oh, that man literally gives me goosebumps. I love Homan so much.
Like the old clip of him, the old clip of him roasting AOC is floating around again.
I just posted. I posted that today.
Oh, I love him so much.
That was fucking devastating, man.
And then the 60-minute interview.
Well, let's be real. Homan is a gangster. Like he's the dad who was like, I don't give a fuck why you did it. You're getting your ass whooped, right? Like he's that dad. Like he is a gangster with it. And I love where he stepped up on stage. He said, I only got 5 minutes, but let me break this down. And he proceeded to be like, if you're here illegally, don't even worry about sitting down because your ass is gone. I want a video of him throwing illegal immigrants out of the country like DJ Jazzy Jeff style in the Fresh Prince, like belt and back of collar, just wee.
Speaking of the administration, I want to get your guys' raw reaction to this because sometimes he can be kind of a controversial. It was just announced recently in the last 10 minutes or so that Ricky Rubio is being given the nod from Trump for Secretary of State.
That gives me another district to run for if I need to. So
yeah, I was that earlier, but I didn't want to interrupt.
No, that's wonderful though, because I think he's a good pick for it. I think he represents like Rubio is better in a position like that than he is representing a district. And I'll be honest, it works for me because I'm trying to find a district where I can get the nomination to run. Now I can't run in Rubio's district because my mother's Puerto Rican, but I'm white presenting, as liberals have told me. So I couldn't run in that district because I look like I have a great credit score and it's not going to fucking work. So, but I want y'all to know I got a 517. I'm not getting financed for shit, but
ooh, I'm better than you. That's saying something.
That's fine, but I'm not going to be able to run in that district. But I'm not going to be able to look. I don't have a great credit score because I don't finance anything. I buy shit. I don't borrow money to buy shit. But the simple thing is that, like, here's the thing. I think the best thing this administration can do is draw from places like Florida and Texas. And I'll be honest with you. What I want to see is Josh Shapiro have a place in this administration. I want to see him take a liberal voice that also has common sense and bring him into the administration. Don't get me wrong. I also love seeing him remove a fucking Democrat as governor. It's phenomenal. But I want to see him offer somebody like Josh Shapiro a place in his administration because Josh Shapiro is a Democrat, but he's a Tulsi Gabbard style Democrat who recognizes that he's not there to espouse his beliefs. He's there to do what the people want.
Who do we want as Secretary of State?
Secretary of State is Tulsi Gabbard.
Well, wasn't that? I think they just did that for Marco Rubio, though.
Yeah, but I'm saying I wanted it to be Tulsi Gabbard.
Oh, okay.
I think she would have been. I think she would have been clutch. I think she would have been clutch for Secretary of State.
Yeah, but what she's going to end up being is a Secretary for Foreign Relations. Because I think she's good at that. She doesn't take shit from other countries because she can disagree on shit in America, but she thinks every other country sucks compared to us.
Hey, what do you guys think of Candace Owens thinking Alex Jones should be press secretary?
No, absolutely not. No, absolutely not.
I love
absolutely not.
It would be devastating. It would be funny though.
I'll be honest.
I can't imagine.
I'll be honest. I'll take Kayleigh McEnany back.
Next question.
Yeah,
I'll take Kayleigh back. Kayleigh invented the bringing the binder to school you motherfuckers to the press conference. But I'll be honest with you, the best one, Tucker Carlson.
Tucker Carlson.
That's your press secretary.
I wouldn't mind if they weren't going to go with Tucker Carlson. I wouldn't have mind if they just chose Peter Doocy.
No, somebody in the chat said Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly's way too hot to be the press secretary. No. Like I would be distracted every briefing because she's so hot. She's so hot.
The viewership would go up.
Look, I'm gonna tell you right now. You put because Megyn Kelly does that. I'm gonna wear as little as humanly possible and talk about the news and act like you give a shit.
And what is your guys' thoughts in regards to what's his name, 𝗬𝗪𝗪𝗛 being named EPA?
I love it because 𝗬𝗪𝗪𝗛 is actually interested in nuclear power. Like you have to think about, like I work in renewable energy. So you have to think about the fact that we've given up on nuclear power because a plant burned down. That's like being like, oh, the cavemen gave up on fire because some dickhead set himself on fire. Like that's dumb, right? Like if we're going to be energy independent of the world, nuclear power is the only way to go. And 𝗬𝗪𝗪𝗛 is heavily supportive of nuclear power. And that's the only way we can actually become energy independent is through nuclear power. So I love the 𝗬𝗪𝗪𝗛 pick.
Yeah,
Right.
that's a great point to make as far as like which energy source is the best. I think we should have a podcast about this later on as far as energy sources and the actual dangers.
Oh, I'll bring you some heavy hitters I'll bring you some heavy hitters in the renewable energy sector, and I'll bring you J.R. 𝗪𝗧𝗪, who works he was a former congressional candidate. He's going to work in the Trump administration and the nuclear administration. And he also, works in nuclear power. We'll bring him over and let him talk about it.
They screwed him over on his run.
Yeah, I'm happy to bring him.
They screwed JR. They screwed him over on his run.
Yeah, because the Republican Party at that point turned into a bunch of pussies and gave up because the liberals lied about his military record. And the worst part is they ran a guy in his place in this election. Goddamn, I can't remember his name, but they ran a dude in his place who got his ass whooped. And it would have been the perfect time to run somebody like JR.
Mm-hmm. I honestly, I can't wait until I see races that involve Nate, Joe. You're gonna see a level of debate that we have never seen on the political stage because
put me on a debate stage.
Honestly, we're prepped for it already. We already have the information. We don't care about being dogs. We don't care about shit stories coming after us because it's already happened.
Like for me, like I already know of recordings from my time on X and other things are going to come out, and I don't care because first of all, I was young, dumb, and I was talking about football, so I don't give a shit. But I mean, there's there's other things about my past and stuff like and they're going to try and like, okay.
I've already doxed myself, guys. I like a moron. Use my legal name on TikTok.
Well, I'll put it out there. I'll put it out there. My name right here is my name.
Yeah, no. I've received people sending me mugshots that weren't mine. I'm like, there's other Anthony Courts out there. You even look at this photo. Like, the guy looks like he's straight up backwoods, like no teeth. I'm like, that's not me. Yeah, no, it's insane, guys. I was contemplating running for office, nothing official yet, but I want to get out of the state first, obviously, because
No, you should stay there and take a position.
Yeah, I've been dying on this California hill. Like all my brother moved over to Texas, DFW area. I was looking at Tennessee, Texas, but yeah, no, I have had that thought. Like if we went back towards the red direction, it'd be great to kind of fuel that and make it happen and bring it back to Reagan era, right? But the likelihood of that actually happening, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
See, I benefit. I'm here in Florida, so I can make a run at any district, and I think it's possible because, like I said, I think Byron Donalds, I think Matt Gaetz, they're going to leave to work in the administration, so there's going to be open districts, and even if they don't, I'll make a run at Kathy Castor in 2026, and I'll make a run at her. But I mean, it's the difference is that I think the American electorate is begging for real. Mm-hmm. And like my first press conference will be, let me give you all the ammo they're going to use against me. Let me show you this video. Let me show you this. Let me show you this tweet. I'm going to show you all the shit I'm going to take the 8 Mile approach. I'm going to take the B Rabbit approach where I tell you everything they're going to use against me.
Like, and you think you're controversial. I had so much for 2 years, actually. Yeah, it's almost 3 years now, going on 3 years of just negative persecution on TikTok from conservatives and liberals just coming after me because of my personal life. So I am immune to the bullshit.
Yeah,
you can say whatever you want. You can do.
That's where I'm like, if you want to attack me, You're gonna have to come up with some new shit because I've already like I actually have a hat coming from a new hat company where it says uncancelable. Because that's the thing is like you're not going to cancel me. You're not going to tell me I got to leave. You're not going to tell me I got to go away because I'm going to say what I want. And oh, you have a problem with what I said? That's fine. Don't vote for me. Because I'll tell people that right off the jump. If my first press conference will be, here's all the bad shit about me. Here's all the bad shit they're going to say. Now, if you're not going to vote for me, fuck off. Now, if you want to hear how I'm going to make your lives better, great. Stick around. Let's talk about it. But if you don't want to vote for me, that's fine. I'm not speaking to you anymore. I'm speaking to the people who aren't happy with the current situation, who aren't happy with how things are going, and I want to make it better.
Absolutely. And it's like things with me, like, people are going to come out and say, oh, I said things in the past and I did things in the past and all this other stuff. And I'll be like, that's the past, though. Like, when it comes to the people that know me, especially on social media and whatnot, they know that I'm not that way anywhere, or I wouldn't say those things anymore, or I wouldn't do those things anymore because that's just, that's part of growing up. And the thing that I love the most is that they want to use things from when you were like in your 20s and still young and stupid, But it's a reality of growing up and realizing, look, if you guys want to play these games where you're focused on things that were said in the past rather than what I plan to do now, then go ahead and focus on that. You're going to still live in the shit show that you're in now, and you're going to continue to go down this road of not getting what you need and having voting in politicians that aren't doing a damn for you. Or you can have somebody like me that said some probably sideways stuff in my past, but I'm willing to call out the BS up on Capitol Hill because I can promise you, my first notion to go up there when I get in front of that podium, I've envisioned it. I'm going to literally call out everybody, including Republicans, that are not doing their job. And I will say that this might be my single only term that I serve up here, but I promise you it will be remembered forever.
Yep.
Right. I'd be worried if you didn't have something in your 20s. Like what the fuck? You didn't fuck off in his 20s or in his college?
What an uninteresting person. Like, right. You didn't say fucked up shit in your 20s. What a boring ass person you were. You never got laid.
Yeah, we're not fucking Ned Flanders. We're not running like as Ned Flanders. Like we're fucking perfect, bro.
Oh, just wait. They'll pull up some people that like didn't like us in the military, Joe, and they'll be like,
"That's
oh,
fine."
He said
this. I'll tell you who didn't. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you this. Every person with the tan who didn't like me isn't here to talk about me.
There you go.
Yep.
So
and the beauty is that here's the thing is like it's not about what we were before. It's not about who we were to get to the person we are today, right? Because if you're voting on that, you're fucking an idiot. It's about voting. Like I'll tell people this, when I run for office, if I somehow manage to fucking get elected, somehow pull a magic trick out of a hat and get elected, I promise my people that like right off the bat, you'll have nightly lives from Congress where I will come and I will tell you everything we talked about, everything in private session, everything in public session, everything you saw on CNN, and I will answer any question. There will be no question about the government that I will not answer for you. Oh, it's classified? Okay, I will tell you it's classified, and I will tell you I'm going to do everything I can to get it declassified. Right. But I will just every night I will say I'm going to do a 3-hour live. And if you got questions about what we did in government today, I'm going to tell you.
Mm-hmm. That's the transparency that Americans want. And I've been asking for it myself. So I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to be running for something here. I'm not going to say what, but here in January, I'm going to be running for something local to start building, but I'm getting involved. And that's a thing to all the people that are watching and anybody watching the replay of this. Get involved. Like there are, we just had Man of Justice on here.
I'll be right back.
No problem. He said that there was what, Mike? I don't know if you were in here. 17,000 positions across the nation that were unopposed. So there are plenty of opportunities for you guys to go in. And he won several races that he's ran for just by going in and signing up.
Mm-hmm. Right. I don't know if you guys follow Young Jeffrey. Do you follow Young Jeffrey?
I do.
He won. I think he's in the city council now. He won. So
no kidding.
So I was pretty stoked to hear that about him. And I guess somebody had recognized him from his content. I was like, yeah, that's amazing. That's
So
awesome, though.
if
Yeah,
you
I'm probably
guys
gonna-
want to, oh, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I like the idea of going big or go home.
I get that.
But I know I can't run for the Secretary of State until I hit 5 years as an Arizona resident. So that'll put me at 2027. So
they're probably
Right
coming
on,
up in
yeah.
2028. So
Well, we'll definitely know that you're transparent. I mean, from the content that I've seen, you know, it's funny. A couple of years ago, when I first started going on TikTok, your lives would pop up, and you were just so brutally honest. I'm like, dude, this guy, you would get banned over and over again, but I'd always catch your new one, and I was like, man, this guy is funny as hell, man. He does not give a fuck. Like, I love it. You know, I think that's what people want now, and they've spoken. Like this whole woke thing was rejected with this last election, yet they're still on X, they're still on TikTok, saying the same stupid shit. And I've gotten into these people, and I'm like, dude, keep doing what you're doing because it's working so well for you, right? You know, but we need people like you, Mike. We need people like OM and Nate to really tell them like it is. So it's good that you guys are running for stuff like that, because I think now is the time. I know you want to go big and go home, but hopefully by 2027, I mean, this trend continues.
Right.
Well,
I mean, right here in the
there's
comments, Selena's basically saying exactly what we're saying. She's an example. Is that, you know, OM is brutally honest, and I like it. Like, that's what the American people want nowadays. They don't want. They're sick of the PC stuff. They're sick of this, you know, trying to dance around words and people's feelings. Nobody gives a damn anymore. We want to know the truth, and we want to know it now.
Oh, which brings me to my next point. I don't know if y'all have seen the website. It's been out for a couple months now. It's Policy for the People. There's actually a lot of good policies being introduced just on that. It's a forum. It's an open forum. And regular citizens are proposing policies, like policies for single issue bills, policies for deconstructing the Department of Education, energy policies, like you name it, it's on there. There's like 5,000 policies been written.
Right.
Yeah, and that's one of the wonderful things. Like, we look at getting rid of the Department of Education, and everybody's like, oh, what are we going to do? Like, they think we're getting rid of education. Like, that's how the liberals act. We say, we're getting rid of the Department of Education. They're like, oh, you want stupid kids. It's like, no. What you have to understand, from the establishment of the Department of Education, we were second in the world in education. We implemented a federal Department of Education. We are now 34th. Right?
Sorry.
We went from spending, like, we now spend 72% more money per student, and our kids are fucking stupid, right? Like, here's the biggest benefit of getting rid of the Department of Education. You take $176 billion and you distribute it to state education systems.
It was even more than that this year.
Well, no, I'm going off of 2022 numbers. I don't know what it was in 2023.
I think it was like 224 billion this year, something like that.
Yeah, so you're talking about an extra, let's call it $4 to $5 billion per state for education. Now, here's the thing. Let me tell you right now, if I give state education systems an extra $4 to $5 billion, and you keep producing stupid fucking kids that vote Democrat, we're gonna need to do something else.
Well, it's like I said last time we were talking.
Fire bad teachers.
It's like I said last time, Joe, when we were talking, and you did a caveat off of it. In the 1950s, the Department of Education was introduced in the 70s. So in the 1950s, the illiteracy rate nationwide, on average, was below 4%. It's 2024. Technology is booming. We have computers in our hands, and our illiteracy rate is above 21% nation. And Joe made it very clear. You made it very clear on like what that actually means.
Yeah, I remember when you said that, and I'll be honest with you, I wanted to cry. When you told me that 21% illiteracy rate, that is like, because let me be honest about this, because we're not on TikTok, right?
No.
Okay, good. So I can say this. So let me put it to you right now. If you can't read, I classify you as fucking retarded. Like there's no other way to put it, because like, here's the thing. Like, I work in the business world, right? My MBA is in strategy. I focus on growing new companies. And there are a lot of assumptions we make as adults, right? Like Nate, Mike, Anthony, I don't know what you guys do in your normal daily life, but there are a lot of assumptions we make. And honestly, one of the biggest assumptions we make is that you can fucking read, is that you can write. And not write's not even that important, but that you can read, right? Like, we make that assumption with every adult we interact with. But imagine that 2 out of every adults that you make that assumption with are functionally retarded and can't read. Like, that is offensive to me in a first world way, right? Because I've been to a lot of third world countries and I expect them to be stupid, right? They're in third world countries. They got no education. They got no upbringing. They have no access to information. They barely have internet. So I assume they're stupid, but I've never made that assumption with an American. Like, I assume everyone is functionally stupid about most things, but they're really smart about what they're doing. But I can't imagine recognizing that 2 out of every 10 Americans I meet can't fucking read.
Here's a number for you. So, United States population 330 million, right? 21% of that is 69,300,000.
Jesus Christ.
69,300,000 people in the United States cannot read or write. And
where were all these chicks when I was trying to get?
That's crazy.
And another thing. I personally think, if we're going on the retarded approach, because I love, as a kid, I loved saying things were retarded. Right? You say things are retarded all the time. So,
dude, I'm in disbelief. You guys are like, I'm fact checking you guys live, and I'm on your side, but I cannot believe you guys are correct on this. That is fucking.
No, I don't speak out the side of my neck, homie.
Anthony, what me and Mike do, bro? We bring numbers. That's what we do.
Google tries tricking you when you look it up, though. They say 18 and older, 88%. Right? Yeah, no, but when you go down a little bit more, yeah, 79% of U.S. adults nationwide are literate. Wow, that is fucking insane, guys. That's good that he announced today that he is going to close down the Department of Education. Is he going to be able to do that, though, guys?
Yeah.
So
yes.
Well, sort of.
So it has to be a congressional action, unfortunately. But we have a red House and we have a red Senate. We don't know what the compositions of those are going to be, how many rhinos are composed in those. But back to what I was saying about things that are retarded.
Yeah.
If you are in a state, if you are part of the 640,000 voters that voted for RFK, I'm sorry, you're stupid.
Because the dude said he wasn't running.
Like, if you are that unplugged, you don't deserve to vote.
No, but just to give some grace to the people who voted for RFK.
Okay, be the saving grace for the people that voted for the man.
I don't help people out in general, as a rule, but let me just say that the 640,000 people who voted for RFK, they were a protest vote. They were I recognize that Kamala Harris would be destructive to our country, but I also don't like Trump. They did not vote for RFK. They decided not to vote for either, but they didn't want to write in somebody, so they filled a bubble.
Well, that's fine. Then vote for the actual other libertarian of the Green Party that got 600,000.
No, Chase Oliver is a fucking psychopath. I am firmly convinced that the Libertarian Party nominated Chase Oliver because they wanted libertarians to vote for Trump. Because Chase Oliver is the least libertarian candidate they've ever had. Like, at least when they ran, who was the guy they ran in the first Trump election? I can't remember his name.
Gary Johnson? No, wait, not Gary Johnson.
No, the guy who was like stoned out of his fucking mind on stage. No, God, I can't remember. So they ran a libertarian candidate who was dog shit, but he was like a stoner who was like, let's just revamp America. Like, he was terrible, but he was at least libertarian about it. He'd show up to press conferences high as fuck and be like, let's fucking rock this on stage. And he was normal. And anybody in the chat who knows who I'm talking about, please let me know, because we can't discover
I think it was
this.
officially Gary Johnson. There might have been unofficially
Gary Johnson. Yes, Gary Johnson. Gary Johnson was at least super libertarian. He was very libertarian.
He was the former governor of New Mexico, right?
Yes, but Chase Oliver.
He politics. Yeah, he at least knew politics.
Yeah, like Chase Oliver is a step away from joining the fucking drag show story hour. Like, he's batshit fucking crazy. So I am firmly committed. Nobody can convince me otherwise. I don't want to hear it. They nominated Chase Oliver to get libertarians to vote for Trump.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't throw that out the wind at all. I definitely think, but I want to give Elon Musk I want to throw him some praise here, because I think he energized some some libertarians that were lying low by even just implying that Ron Paul might have some connection to this administration, right? So I think that was a very clever tactic of him to even just flirt with the idea of having even if it's just a consultant to this Doge government agency, right? To government efficiency agency.
I mean, me personally, I think he's going to serve in some position somewhere. I mean, I'm pretty sure Trump's already talked about it, but he hasn't actually confirmed. He hasn't confirmed what position yet, but he's definitely talked about it in his rally.
But can we talk about the expert level of trolling that Elon is doing? Like here's the thing. I love trolling. I'm a big fan of trolling. I think it's fun.
I have a bone to pick with you.
But hold on, wait. Let me say real quick that I think the level of trolling it takes to create the Department of Government Efficiency and name it that way so you can call it Doge is expert level trolling. Like you gotta understand, when you're dealing with Elon, like nothing he does is accidental. Like think about the Tesla models, right? The first model he came out with was the what?
Model S.
Model S, right?
Yeah.
The SUV he came out with was the Model what?
Y, right?
No, that was the X.
Oh, X. I'm sorry.
X, right? And then he wanted to call his affordable model, the one that everybody bought, the Model E.
The Model 3.
No. It ended up being the Model 3. Yeah. He wanted to call it the Model E. But his lawyer said there is no fucking way we are letting you come out with 3 cars and their models spell sex. So he changed it to 3. So it was S3X. And then what was the extended minivan model he was coming out with? Oh, it was the Y. So that his car models would say sexy. Like, you have to appreciate a man who is so rich, so unbothered by normal shit, that he goes, how can I troll the car industry? Oh, I can make my models sexy.
Anyway, I have a bone to pick with you, Joe.
Oh shit, here we go. All right, Harry, go ahead.
CNN, in their infinite wisdom, decided to listen to you.
Oh.
And I'm so mad if this actually comes true.
It was a joke.
I don't care. Listen, I'm going to hold you to this. Joe said that basically Joe Biden could step down and Kamala Harris could take the reins as president.
I do remember you saying that.
So look, the joke was I said that if Kamala Harris wanted to be the ultimate troll, what she could do is, because Donald Trump printed all the Trump 47 merch, right? If she wanted to be the ultimate troll, she could get Biden to step down. she would become president. She would technically be the 47th president of the United States. She'd be the first female president of the United States. And all his merch, he'd have to print Trump 48, right? He'd have to change everything he did. And it was a joke. I literally said, oh, if she wants to be the ultimate troll, she could do this. It'd be funny. And I was like, this is wild. Like, this is a stupid idea because obviously Biden hates her fucking guts. I have no doubt that him and Jill voted Trump. You can't convince me otherwise. Let me tell you that right now. But it was a joke. I was like, wouldn't this be funny? And then I saw 2 days ago, fucking CNN has a panelist on who says Biden needs to resign in the next 30 days and appoint her the president. She can be the 47th president and be the first female president. And I was like, you sons of bitches stole my idea. But it was a joke. And here's the thing. So many people on X told me, they were like, bro, don't put that out there. Don't give them ideas. And here we are, where CNN took my idea. And the best part was the woman on CNN, I cannot remember her name. She looks like Skeletor. But she had said this. Dana Bash went from, she said, this has gone from internet meme to a congressman suggesting it. And I was the fucking meme. This was me, meme here. And I'm so sorry that I suggested it.
I mean, you've seen the other theory that they're floating around, right, Joe? In regards to Kamala Harris, they're trying to, so they've been, for the last few days, they've been working to try and oust 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗧𝗏, I can never say her last name, but the Supreme Court Justice, right?
Oh, so now 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗧𝗏.
Yeah, so now all over X and everything else, people are trying to push the narrative that Joe should appoint Kamala Harris in her place.
Oh my Lanta. Oh my good. No, absolutely.
Yeah, but here's the best part.
Every time there's a
no, but here's the best part is even if they did that, right? Like, let's just say they did it. Say Kamala Harris got appointed a Supreme Court judge. And say that happened. Here's the best part. In the next 4 years, Clarence Thomas and is it Scalia? Who's the old
Robert?
No, not
Thomas. Thomas is the oldest.
No, Thomas is old as shit. And I think the other one's Scalia, right?
Scalia is gone. Right? Yeah.
No, Scalia is gone. You're right. It's Thomas and
is it?
I mean, the second oldest is Alito.
Alito, that's the other one. So you got Thomas and Alito. They're gonna retire.
Yeah.
And the best part is Trump is gonna appoint someone in his 30s or 40s to that position, right? And the best part is that will mean that out of a Supreme Court of 9, Trump will have appointed 6 of them.
Mm-hmm. And it's possible that he could do 4 in this term because not only those
he could,
but Sonia, the reason why they're trying to push her out, not only to get Kamala Harris in, is because she has, I guess it's been reported that she is having some health issues, but she's 70 years old as well. So is Roberts.
You know what? Here's the thing. I'll give 𝗖𝗎𝗎𝗓 credit on this. She looks really good for 70.
Yeah.
Like,
I was shocked.
I mean, I wouldn't bang her. I wouldn't bang her with Mike's dick and Nate pushing, but she looks good. She looks good but she looks good for 70, right? But if she does, like, could you imagine if he appointed 7 of the 9? Like, just to watch, it would be worth it just to watch liberal America lose their fucking collective minds.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think about the new the second time Russia?
Well, here's what I'll tell you.
With Elon funding.
No, but here's what I'll tell you. There is, since Reagan, there has only been one president that applied the most sanctions to Russia during his term. And we know who it was. It was Donald Trump. Nobody has applied more economic sanctions to Russia than Donald Trump. So here's the thing. If you want to tell me that Donald Trump is in Putin's pocket, you'd have to provide me. Like, I'm open to being persuaded, by the way. If there's anybody in the chat who's like, Donald Trump is a Putin puppet, I'm open to being persuaded. But you'd have to tell me why Putin's puppet applied more sanctions to Vladimir Putin and Russia than any president besides Reagan.
It's tough love.
Yeah, like, no, but that's just like, here's the thing, like, that would make Vladimir Putin a sadist at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he just likes getting punished.
I mean, disregard the fact that he literally has been televised endorsing Kamala Harris on 2 different occasions, but let's just ignore that completely and just go with what Joe said.
Didn't say he would bomb the shit out of Moscow, right? If he was president and he had threatened invasion, right? I mean, they completely ignore that. That you didn't see that in the news, but they put everything else he said out of context, right?
Right.
Well, like, I can tell you, like, since Trump has become president, what is it? Let me see if I can find the list here. Since Donald Trump has become president, I can't. I save. Does anybody else do this where they save way too many fucking photos to their photo roll? But
yes.
But okay,
Yeah.
So since Donald Trump won, the EU already wants to buy American natural gas to avoid the tariffs. Putin says he'll sell Russian oil in US dollars. Hamas is calling for peace. Zelensky held a private phone call with President Trump and Elon Musk. Mexico broke up a migrant caravan heading to the US. Like, let's be real. Like, we are at the point where we're like on the planet from Avatar, and it's like, nature is healing, guys. The world is returning to sanity because the president of the United States is awake past 4.
Right. Hey, how much you want to bet?
I'm going to put an idea out there. So you know how the left.
Well, hang on, Mike. Anthony wanted to add
No,
to that before
I'll be quick. Hey, you can make your point, Mike. I'm sorry, but how much you want to bet?
She said.
They're gonna give credit to Joe Biden and Kamala for all this stuff you just said is happening.
But here's the thing: let's be real.
Yeah.
If we're true conservatives, if we're not Trumpy people, right? We're true conservatives. I don't give a fuck who gets the credit.
Right. Right.
Like, I don't. Like, here's the thing: if the Ukraine war, the war in Gaza, if the economy's fixed and all that happens before they leave office, I recognize that in 5 years they'll say, oh my God, whoever got it from this inherited the Biden economy, inherited the Biden world. But I want the world to be better, regardless of whether Trump did it, Biden did it, Kamala did it. I want the world to be at peace. I want the economy to be right. I want sanity to be returned to the United States. If you want to give all the credit to Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, awesome. I don't care, because I hold no loyalty to Trump. I just know he's better for America. But I want the problems fixed, and I don't give a fuck who gets the credit.
Right.
But what I was going to say is, you know how the left and the, we'll say the globalists have George Soros.
Mm-hmm.
The right has Elon Musk.
Yeah.
It's like the opposite effect.
But it's a better effect because, like, here's how disconnected George Soros is. Before the election, he bought 80 radio stations. I'm sorry, when's the last time any of you listened to the fucking radio?
Yeah, what my Bluetooth trying to connect, right? Like
George Soros. No, but like George Soros bought 80 radio stations, which tells me he was ready to win the propaganda war in World War II.
Right, leading up to Nixon's election, or right.
Like him buying 80 radio stations would be like an NFL team signing Barry Sanders right now. Like sure, in his time, greatest running back. I don't want to argue with people, but one of the greatest running backs ever, right? But today would just be a bag of bones that gets fucked up.
Yeah.
And that's what George Soros did. He bought 80 radio stations, and people lost their minds. They were like, oh my God, he bought 80 radio stations. And I was like, that just tells me George Soros is disconnected from the American people. That told me that George Soros is so fucking rich, he doesn't understand how shit works.
Nate, you wanted to ask one more question?
Yeah, so to just bring this to a wrap, obviously from my perspective and Joe's perspective, we have a lot of the same reality of like we don't give a damn, just get it done kind of a thing. But also we also take the step of holding people accountable, especially our own party, right? So with that in mind and seeing that they will do it, what would be the first thing or the first couple things that you want to see this administration do from day one?
So day one, my day one thing is this, that there needs to be a stack of executive orders on President Trump's desk to do, and every one of those executive orders, like I'm talking, when I say stack, I don't mean like, oh, here, do this. No, I'm talking like this shit needs to be the biggest thing in the fucking Oval Office. There needs to be 200 executive orders on his fucking desk waiting for his signature. And every one of them needs to have accompanying legislation in the House to have it backed up by congressional mandate. And then when he signs them, that is a temporary stopgap to accomplishing it, because anything he does by executive order and is not backed up by the House can be negated. They're going to fight it in court for the next 18 to 36 fucking months. Nothing's going to get done. Right. So it's got to have congressional backing. Two, when that happens, it needs to be executed on.
Right.
Like it needs to be acted on right away. Like I love where Homan said that. He said, all right, I'll have the border secure in 120 days. And Trump told me I got 60. And I was like, talking dirty to me right now. Like, I love it. I love when he says shit like that. Like, you got 60, right? Because that's the way it needs to do. Because if you want to see me, like everybody has seen me on TikTok as the pro-Trump, anti-Biden guy. Let me tell you right now, I'm the pro getting shit done guy. So if Trump doesn't attempt to execute on everything he said, I am going to shit all over his orange fucking hair. Like, and that's the way it needs to be. And the biggest thing is us as creators, us as voices on the conservative side who want better. We're not Trump supporters. We're the country being better supporters.
Right.
So if he doesn't act in a way that we want him to, he doesn't act in a way that we mandated him to by the election, it's our job to call him out. Right? Because the liberals are going to talk shit about everything he does. It's us to call him out for not doing that, what he said he was going to do. So I want a stack of executive orders backed by congressional bills ready to rock. Like day one, like he should walk off that stage and walk into the fucking Oval Office and start signing shit. That's what I want. And then after that, it needs to be him empowering the people he chose to do shit. I don't want to hear, oh, I'm waiting for approval, or I'm wondering about this. No. We got the next set. What are we at? Are we at 69 days, 70 days?
69.
Whatever it is. 70 days to give them approval on everything. Day one should be a batshit crazy day. I want day one to be so fucking hectic that we run out of ink. That's how day one should be. And if it's not, I'm sorry we elected him.
My two things would be to immediately shut down the border completely through executive power.
Well, he's got 60 days. He's got 60 days to do it.
60 days to deport and whatnot, get everything.
No. The deport, he has more. Trump told Homan he has 60 days to completely shut down the border or he's firing him.
Okay. Well, that's one thing that I want. Mm-hmm. The other thing is to reinstitute the 1948 Smith-Month Act.
And I think he actually he has plans about that. Actually, he's expanded on it.
Like propaganda?
Propaganda
Act.
So hang on,
Yeah.
guys, hang on. So he did actually come out with a 5-step plan to address exactly that. It came out yesterday. I posted a video. It's like 6.5 minutes long. He goes through each detail of how he's going to implement firing different people. Also trying to implement procedures for people that used to work for any of the 3-letter agencies that they can't work for any kind of big platform for so long. And then also he's actually calling upon Congress to formulate a bill that is going to be a digital Bill of Rights.
That's legit.
Can you send me that video, because that
Yeah.
I didn't know what you just said. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So the 1948 Smith-Mundt Act is an anti-propaganda act, and it basically holds the news agencies by the short and curlies and forces them to tell the truth.
Now, there was a big change ever since that was reversed. Haven't you noticed?
Right.
So, but yeah, those are my 2 things. And now that Nate ruined my 2 things, I have to figure out 2 more fucking things.
Don't even worry about it. Anthony, what are your couple, 1 or 2 things that you just, this has got to happen day one?
Okay. Well, day one, you, OM and Mike, you've touched on a lot that I would definitely say in the first couple. But I think the one thing that has affected you guys repeatedly, has affected me, has affected this panel, has affected every single creator, is getting serious about the big tech censorship. I want him to launch an investigation into all these big tech companies that colluded to silence the political opposition, right? So, and I think he's already making steps towards that, but I definitely want to see investigations against Google, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, right? TikTok, if applicable, right? They have offices here in the U.S. and they have been censoring us day one. Mm-hmm. And obviously, I think the border is a big one. Definitely shutting down the border, getting that under control, undoing all of Biden's executive orders that have hurt the economy, reinstating the permits he's revoked, the drilling permits, continuing, border security is the biggest thing, honestly. Making real serious steps in ending the war between Ukraine and Russia, hold them accountable to saying he'd end that within 48 hours or however, 24 hours, however the fuck long he said it would take for him to reverse that. That seems to be already in play. Right. But also, the big thing here is to stand up to China. Reinstating tariffs, they pretty much stayed online, but just declaring them a strategic adversary as they are, right? And not cozying up to them pretty much like Tim Walz and the Biden administration has been doing. So I think that as long as there's so many different things I could say. You guys touched on a lot of the big ones, but the whole thing is we've all been censored. TikTok's been attacking us. Ever since the election, they've been punishing me. I've got 2 random strikes for no reason, right? So they're coming after me now. So
I do want to say this,
I
Anthony.
got one more.
Here's the coolest thing about executive orders: is Donald Trump could sign his first executive order to delete every one of Joe Biden's executive orders. You can do that. That's the funny thing when it comes to executive orders. His executive order, first executive order, should be fuck everything that dude did. I'm sorry, the D's threw me off. Fuck everything that dude did,
Not
right?
The first time.
Because that's the beautiful thing about executive orders. They're deletable right away. It's also the most dangerous thing about them. And so the first executive order I want Trump to write is fuck everything that dude did, right? I wanted to just say everything that dementia-ridden piece of shit did when he got in office, gone. And here's the best part. The most important executive order he could delete is refining oil in the U.S. Because right now we are drilling for more oil than we ever have in our nation's history. But here's the problem. We are sending the refining of it overseas, which means that we do not have control over the pricing of that oil. We are basically saying we are going to drill the shit out of it and we're going to send it to you to price, which if I'm the guy overseas, my boner wouldn't have gone away for 4 years. It would have just been hard for 4 fucking years. I'd have been oh my God, I'm going to rape everyone on this money. And the beautiful thing is if you open up refinement within 6 months, because Sunoco and Exxon and Chevron all said it takes about 4 to 6 months to set up a refining operation. And you will have so many of them ready to receive this oil. It'll be on. And it won't even be in Texas, believe it or not. It won't be in Texas because Texas is great for drilling, but their refining operation, you need a bunch of land for that. Actually, Michigan and Wisconsin are best for it because where we're going to export most of that oil is going to be to Canada because they draw 99% of their oil from us. So if we set up the refining in Michigan and Wisconsin, we can export, start like we were under Trump the first time. We can export because we exported 91% of our oil to Canada. We just exported everything to them. And then the best part is we get to look at OPEC and go, bitch, we got our oil. I wish you would overcharge me. Like it's like a girl, like meeting that girl that's got a vibrator that's better than you. You better measure up. Otherwise, she's going to leave you, go home and take care of herself. Like that's how America's got to be.
Honestly,
I'm gonna leave everybody with this real quick, and then Nate, you can end it.
Yeah, I'll wrap it up.
For all the states that pass constitutional amendment changes to allow abortion as a state constitutional right, if anybody's listening to this and you reside in one of those states, you can take legal action because those amendments are a direct infringement on the 13th and 14th Amendment, because abortion is a medical procedure provided by somebody else. And for you to say that that's a right, you're arguing for slave labor, which goes against the 13th Amendment, right? Neither slavery nor indentured servitude except for punishment of a crime, and the due process clause in the 14th Amendment, right? So you could take legal action to your state and get those reversed.
Right. And, to wrap everything up here for me, OM, screw you, because you literally took all my thunder, because that was going to be everything everything you said I was about to say. But on top of that, because obviously I want the border situation, I want all that, but my two biggest things, and were actually the two things why I voted for Trump, is the whole fact that he was going to deregulate the oil industry and also the manufacturing industry, which is the problem. They got a lot of these red tape areas where, it's costing them millions upon millions of dollars, which is also in the whole situation with the refining. A lot of people don't know that, so that was that. And once you do that, that drives down the price of everything, because the pricing of everything starts with the price of gas and oil,
the cost to transport it.
Absolutely.
Because I tell people this all the time. Let me say real quick. I tell people this all the time. I work in renewable energy. They're like, you care about the cost of solar panels and batteries and stuff. And it's like, yeah, but you know what regulates that cost? The cost of the fucking oil to fuel the boats to bring that shit here.
Yep.
Like oil is the origination of everything.
Right.
Yeah, oil is the.
And just like Selena says here, it says, what's the role of RFK? So this is actually because anybody that knows me and knows my wife, we're huge health nuts. Like my wife literally makes her own medicine. She's an all naturopath. She writes books. She does.
She got some natural Xanax. I'm just saying.
She could probably figure it out. I promise you that. Like I've got what we call her witch's potion cabinet. So she goes that deep. She's one of those individuals that reads labels or where we can't even pronounce the words, let alone know what they are or how they interact. She knows all of that. So we are actually super excited to see what RFK does, because, screw his other policies and how he, red flag laws and all that stuff. I don't care about all that, even though I don't agree with him on. But when it comes to health and wellness, Donald Trump has already said, to answer your question, Selena, he's going to be creating an advisory board, technically, to oversee the NIH, the CDC, the FDA, and all of that. And so, it just reminds me of the meme where Jack Nicholson's looking through the door like this. It's like, that's literally RFK to these three-letter agencies.
And he's going to pause hiring at the NIH.
Right. And
he's going to pause hiring.
he just announced tonight that he's actually going to be firing day one over 600 employees in the NIH alone.
Beautiful.
So the fact that we are literally being poisoned by our own country is one of my biggest issues when it comes to our food. I mean, I just said it on the last podcast. Mike, you weren't in here at that point, but everybody pretty much knows that UK guy that comes over here all the time. His name is Josh. He's got his little buddy, and they do the videos and whatnot. And he's got a series right now called Trying American Food That's Banned in the UK. The fact that that series exists tells you everything that
and
you
the
need to
fact that it has more than 18 episodes already.
Right.
Yeah.
It's but that's the thing. My wife has a program called European Standard Guidelines, which in it is over 1,000 ingredients that we use on a daily basis that are banned in almost every other single country in the world. So that's what I'm most excited about, honestly.
I know
And,
Joe and
I'll
I
tell
have been
you,
to other countries.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mike. My bad.
I know you and I have been to other countries, and the food does taste better.
Oh my God. Wait, did I talk to y'all about the mental health epidemic earlier?
No, not in detail. No.
So wait, let me just say this real quick. So I did some research for a video I'm working on about how, like, everybody knows if I say the Dark Ages, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? Cool. We are currently in the dark ages of mental health here in the US. Like, so I was doing some research for a video, and I found shit that was horrifying. Like, this is horrifying, right? So in 2023, the United States had a population of 346 million people, right? That's elderly, babies, toddlers, infants, everyone, right? Did you know that in 2023, we had 337 million prescriptions for antidepressants? And here's the thing. That sounds bad, but let me make it even worse for you. So think about doctor's visits in this country, right? Like, you break your toe, you break your ankle, you whatever, right? Like, there's a ton of reasons to visit a doctor. 1 out of every 3 doctor's visits in the United States last year ended with a prescription for an antidepressant.
I believe it.
Wow, that's the population of the United States. The amount of prescriptions. Yeah, that's insane.
That is 99% of the population of the United States is on drugs to get them through the day. Like, when I say that we all recognize the Dark Ages because we knew how awful it was, we are currently in the Dark Ages of mental health in this country. 337 million prescriptions for antidepressants. 1 in 3 doctors' visits in this country resulted in the prescription of antidepressants. Like, think about that for a second. Like, we all broke a toe, we stubbed a finger and got it wrapped up. We sprained a thumb. We did everything. Every doctor visit in this country for everything. 1/3 of them ended with a prescription for an antidepressant. We are a country that is taking a pill to get through the day.
And the major issue with that, and a lot of people don't know this, which is one thing that RFK already announced that he's going to attack. We are one of only 2 countries in the entire world that allows advertisement of big pharma on the television. That's going to be one of his first things that he's attacking, is removing that.
I guess I'll wrap this up because we're about to hit an hour 40. A big shout out to those that have served and those that have, given their lives for the ultimate cost of our freedoms that we enjoy every day, that we take advantage of, that most do not recognize, that most see as oppression. Thank you to veterans all around the United States, past, present, and future.
Absolutely. And we
No,
salute you.
I love all of our veterans. I think everyone who served, no matter the reason you chose to serve, awesome. More power to you. Love you guys.
Anthony, any last words?
No, absolutely, I agree. Maybe it's more relatable to Memorial Day, but all the soldiers that have fallen, obviously.
No, that's Memorial Day. We're talking about the ones that survived.
Still living. Thank you, OM. Thank you, Professor Mike.
Talking about the bunch of assholes that refused to die.
No,
Yeah.
We want to thank you guys for coming on, and definitely OM coming back. We'll definitely have, panels going on in the future, but we appreciate you.
And we love OM. Fuck y'all who don't love
I got to say right now that, here's the thing. Leading up to the election, I was 100% censored, right? I lost 12 accounts in 14 days, and they did not let me say anything. They did not let me have an account on TikTok. I had no voice. But the wonderful thing about that is I didn't worry, because I had people like Mike, I had people like Nate, I had people like Anthony who said exactly what needed to be said. Now, y'all skated under the radar. Don't get me wrong. I recognize y'all were attacked too. I'm not trying to say I was the only one that was attacked, but you guys were able to spread the message. You guys were able to impact millions of people, because between the three of you, I imagine your impact, let's just say the week before the election, we're talking millions of people that never would have got the information you spread out without you guys. And that's where you guys need to recognize how amazing what you do is. Like we're all creators, right? And we sit back and we go, oh, this video only got 20,000 views. I want you to recognize that's the Madison Square Garden. When you put out a video and TikTok suppresses it and they don't let your voice get out and 20,000 people see it and you're like, oh, it's not what I was looking for. I want you to recognize that's Madison Square Garden. That is the largest Kamala rally that ever happened. Your voice was put out to people all over this country. You said what needed to be said. So they attacked me, they censored me, they put me down, but I never worried, because we had people like Mike and Nate and Anthony. You guys did an amazing job of educating the populace. You weren't trolls. You put out info. You put out great information. And that's what was needed to make our country what we hope it to be.
Absolutely. Take
All
us home,
right.
Mike.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are not already following Anthony, Older Millennial, myself, or Nate, follow us on all of our social media platforms. And be sure to follow the greatest podcast in America on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, and Twitch, and Patreon. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you.